Welcome back to the Garden with Joe and Holly radio show. Happy that you've allowed us to be part of your day. If you got a question, we got an answer. You can certainly send that on over. It's gardentalkradio@gmail.com. That's gardentalkradio@gmail.com. You can also give us a call 24/7, 365 at 1-800-927-SHOW. That's 1-800-927-7469. If you can't get through, you can leave a message and we will call you back. Had a couple of questions come in via the hotline at 1-800-927-SHOW. We'll first go to Milwaukee. She is, I don't remember her name. She's going to, Elaine. She's listening to us on Joy, 1340 AM and 98.7 FM.
Hi, this is Elaine calling Greenfield, Wisconsin. Can you tell me about lilac bushes? Ours didn't do well this year, and I was just wondering what it was due to the weather, or as far as pruning them goes, when we should prune them.
All right. Thank you for listening to the program. Lilac bushes, when do we prune them, and why did hers not do very good? Well, she didn't do it. This is a kind of a, your mileage may vary type of situation, but if you don't prune them properly or at the right time, it can significantly inhibit some of the production that plant could offer.
Right. You want to prune them regularly. So you would want to, you don't have to necessarily prune them every year, but you can tell when they need to be pruned because they don't do well.
And certain varieties.
So you would have to figure out what variety you have, find a pruning schedule. But what happens is that if you don't prune them, then they don't have the incentive to keep growing, to keep blooming, as opposed to when you are pruning them regularly, it encourages that growth.
I know that your mom has a decent size lilac bush as well as your sister does in her backyard, and I don't know how much pruning that they offer those plants, but they are the size of small vehicles.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Let's go to Ilona listening to us on Wham Radio, 1600 AM and 92.7 FM out of Southeast Michigan.
This is Ilona from Highland, Michigan, listening on Wham 1600. My question is, I have several boxwood. That's it. I have several boxwood. They're all doing great, but this year a couple of them have brown leaves. I tried looking it up. It said maybe lack of drainage. I'm not sure. The other ones look beautiful green, so I don't know. What do you suggest? Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Ilona from Highland, Michigan, a longtime listener and supporter of the program. We thank you so much for that, and we can help you with your question.
So it is drainage for the most part. So what happens is that with the varying weather, it can cause the trees to get a little bit sensitive, especially during the hotter parts of the year. So the drainage is a problem, and you might have some issues under the soil that you're not aware of because of how long they've been there, or just as the earth kind of shifts around and things like that. So drainage is a problem. So you might have to dig in there, see what the drainage situation is, see if there's any sort of root impaction, compaction, etc., and that would be helpful.
Yeah, that based on the size of the plant, it's going to dictate how much excavation that you may provide for that plant in order to figure out why that one is not doing as well as the other ones, and could be something just the way water is being held around or near that root system, whether something new was put there or just the way the water is now flowing in a different form and fashion around that plant could have significant impacts as she was describing. All right, let's see what we can get through here question-wise. I have a wonderful plum tree that has brown rot. Do you suggest removing it? I have sprayed the last 3 years and it still gets the brown rot. Can I replace it with a plum tree or peach tree, or would it be in the soil if I put it in the same spot?
Yeah, so brown rot on your plum tree, there is no cure for the problem. There are many ways to control it by cutting back the branches that are showing the issue and throwing away plums, not composting. You don't want to compost them. You don't want to put that disease into the compost. You want to throw them away. And brown rot fungi overwinter. It's a shriveled fruit, infected twigs and branches. The primary source of spores is in the spring, and if you find the shriveled fruit on the ground. So anything you want to do is just make sure that once you clean up the shriveled fruit or the bad branches, you want to toss them. You don't want to burn them. No composting, anything like that. Even the city compost, don't put that in there because that can increase the spread.
If this still becomes a persistent problem, as you've indicated for the last 3 years, you've been fighting this, it might be one of these situations where it's time to replace the tree and save the time, effort, energy, and finances in trying to prolong this incurable problem by replacing it with a peach tree or an apple tree or a more disease-resistant tree of a different type of fruit to make your life more enjoyable rather than having this problem that you're consistently battling. And then based on what type of tree you need to, if you go to your local garden center, they will have the trees that are adequate for your growing zone. If not, if you're going to order them online, as I spoke about previously on the program, if you're in growing zone 4, for example, you want to get a tree that is adequate for growing zone 3. So when you have those anomalies in the winter of one year being much colder than others, that tree still has a chance of survival, and it's not on that borderline of it's a growing zone 4, it's a growing zone 4 tree, so we really can't have anything colder than that because that tree may not survive. I believe it was last week's show that your guest spoke about some natural products that to spray on to control bad insects. I think it was called BT or something like that. I think it was a bacteria that goes inside of the bug and grows in its gut. Is there somewhere that I can find more information about the product and what it does and where to purchase? That was John Libbs
from Phylum Bioproducts.
Phylum Bioproducts. It's
Grubgon.
PHYLLOM, bioproducts.com. And Grubgon is the product in which he was speaking about, an all-natural product that will eliminate the borers and beetles, the Japanese beetles you have flying around. So Beetle Gone is the website, and Phylum Bioproducts is the company site in which gives you all the information. And you can give them a call. The number is on the website, and John or Jim will pick up. They're brothers, and they are owners of the company. Should I remove the suckers from my tomato plant?
This is a fist fight debate.
First of all, what is a sucker on a tomato plant for those who are not familiar with that verbiage?
So a sucker is so when you have the main branch of the tomato plant, and then you have the other branch that kind of shoots out. It's like
in the armpit, the joint.
Yeah, the joint. There's something that grows there. Those are the suckers, and some people feel that if you cut the sucker off or prune it or whatever, that it's going to help the plant grow better, blah, blah, blah. Now, some people feel that you shouldn't do it. Some people feel you should. Some people feel that if you cut the sucker off, the other tomatoes will grow bigger and stronger and better. I don't think there's any scientific proof behind any of that, but it's up to you. If you have time to trim all of the suckers, go for it. If you are, in your backyard and you observe everything going on and you have all the time in the world, do it. If it's very important to you, do it, whatever. If you don't, you don't. If you want to just let plants grow naturally and do their thing, survival of the fittest, you're still going to get the same amount of tomatoes, do that. So it's up to you.
And you may get more because if you allow that sucker, what we identify as a sucker, to continue to grow, it will turn into an additional limb and it will produce another flower or flower clusters, which will produce more tomatoes. Based on the type of tomato plant you have, cherry versus beefsteak, it can take 20 to 30 days from the time the flower is exposed to the time in which you're harvesting a ripe or near ripe piece of fruit. So keep that in mind as well. We have allowed ours to grow. We've never pruned tomatoes, and we have seen those suckers create very large and productive flower clusters in in which if we was to remove, we would have decreased the yield that tomato plant would have offered us.
Right. So that's suckers.
We come to the portion of the program today where we discuss what we learned today. And what I learned today was that our 10-year-old nephew, your sister's son, is a very worrisome gardener with his tomato and watermelon plant. And I guess we were all like that at one point or the other, where we worried about, are we watering enough? Did we feed it enough? Is it going to produce this, that, and other? And he'll come to a point where he will realize, it's going to grow. It's not going to grow. That's why I put 7 in the ground instead of 1, so I have some backups.
We're going to help him along the way. I learned that Lepidoptera is like butterflies and stuff.
Fancy word for butterflies. What we learned today is brought to you by Honey Bee Healthy.
Whether you're a gardener, a bee hobbyist, or a professional beekeeper, Honey Bee Healthy Inc. has the products to help you maintain a healthy hive and thriving garden. For more information on how to use Honey Bee Healthy in your garden, visit honey-bee.com.